A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the Jedi Archive, also known as the Great Jedi Library, was a massive collection of information collected over the course of thousands of years by the Jedi Order throughout the entirety of the Star Wars galaxy. Throughout the entirety of the history of the Jedi Order's legacy, they had collected tons upon tons of information regarding multitudes of different planets, asteroids, different collective species that have existed throughout the entirety of the Star Wars galaxy since the Old Republic, all the way to the Ruusan Reformation, and even into the Clone Wars. Basically, if it does not exist in the archives, then it doesn't exist at all. And that was the collective wisdom of the Jedi Order and the collective information based on everything throughout the entirety of the Star Wars galaxy. And throughout the entirety of the Jedi archives, there was one menial thing that was considered to be some of the most forbidden information in the entirety of the Jedi Order, and probably the most forbidden information throughout the entirety of the Star Wars galaxy. And of course, that was the restricted section of the Jedi archives. Now, right off the bat, Anakin Skywalker wanted access to the forbidden section of the Jedi archives, mainly due to the fact that he was having visions of Padme Amidala dying at childbirth during the time after the Battle of Coruscant. Anakin Skywalker thought if he could have access to the forbidden section of the Jedi archives, that he could find a way to save Padme, but unfortunately, that turned out not to be the case because he was never given the rank of Master and was not allowed to have access to the Jedi archives themselves, or especially the restricted section. And for well over the past 20 years since Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith was released in theaters, and ever since the novelization came alongside the movie, people have been wondering what is actually inside of the restricted section of the Jedi archives, and I am here to tell you that it is actually quite a lot. Now, the entirety of the restricted section of the Jedi archives was not exactly a section of the library, but was actually a Bogon collection, which was a hidden vault that was more or less housed to store the entirety of the collection of dark side artifacts that were taken by the Jedi Order. This also contained different connected artifacts connected to the dark side of the Force, like the saber of Darth Krall, the mask of Darth Momin, different lightsabers belonging to Sith Lords throughout the entirety of the Jedi Order's history, as well as a parang, artifacts related to the sorcerers of Tund, and the Yokombe. But of course, after the destruction of the Jedi Order by the hands of Darth Vader and the clones, as well as the careful planning of Darth Sidious then took control of the entirety of the Jedi Temple, used it as his own Imperial Palace, and also took over the entirety of the Bogon collection, and effectively had taken over everything having to do with it, but only to give one piece of dark side artifact over to Lord Vader, and that would of course be the Mask of Darth Momin.